What's going on, people? Welcome back again. Nick J. Francis channel, OnlyFacts football show. We're here. Nick J. Francis here. Got my cup of tea ready, blood, to talk about the football. Shane, what you telling me, fam?
Tired, bruv. Tired.
Why are you tired?
Bruh, yeah,
You got
long
a gal keeping
weekend,
you up
fam.
at night and that. Say no more.
What do you say?
You got a gal keeping you up at night and that.
Bruv, I wish, fam. I've just been busy. And you're forgetting that this is live stream. We can't edit this.
Boy, listen, I'll tell you what's been keeping me up at night. Yeah, I want to start with Arsenal, blood. Of course I do, innit? So, do you know what I mean? For anybody that's new here, Nick J. Francis channel, OnlyFacts Sports. Do you know what I'm saying? We cover football, cover boxing. Make sure that you like the channel, like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're going to be talking all things Premier League football, all things boxing. Do you know what I'm saying? New show that we're rolling out. So bear with us, stick with us. Do you know what I'm saying? Much more content coming. But one thing that's keeping me up at night is Arsenal's attack, blood, because we can't attack. We can't attack, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? We need to be calling for help. We're moving like Ukraine. Do you know what I'm saying? We're just on the defensive. Now, big man thing, we can't, we don't look terrible. But compared to for an Arsenal team that was coming out of the dark ages with the late Wenger, late Emery, early Arteta, we still look better than that. But considering that we've had 2 back-to-back title challenges, we just don't look anywhere near. From an attacking perspective, we just can't progress the ball. We just can't. It's just attack. That's the only word I can use. We can't attack. It's like we've got no confidence, blood.
It's funny how this has managed to happen. Because when you look at the fluidity that you've played the last few seasons with, and historically what Arsenal's been capable of, you ask yourself, how do you get here? How did you get here? How did you get to this thing? Because it's not even like, if over the seasons you saw like a progressive evolution to this stage, it was like one day Arsenal were playing this fluent football. Last season you were playing fluent football. And all of a sudden overnight you've just gone to playing like robust. And it's not even like being fluent was the reason why you didn't win the league last season. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Sometimes you can be like, you know what, let me overcompensate on defense because that's what lost us the league. It's not even like that. There is literally no
We
explanation.
had the best defense in the league last year. And what's mad, I think when you look at Pep, when you look at Klopp, something that they always did is they always added attackers. Every year, even when Pep won, got the highest points tally, broke the goal scoring record, he would add an attacker. You'd always add an attacker. And I think
Right.
there's something to just adding a bit of fresh blood, even if it's a bench player. You know, Liverpool added Gakpo. He's on the bench. Liverpool
I
sometimes
mean,
people. There's something
that's
to
a.
it.
I think that's a very, very, very good point. Like that's probably the best point that you've made in terms of like a justifiable reason. Cause you
Yeah,
deep it is actually true in it. Like every
we've got
season,
the same attack. We've got the
like
same attack. Like our
what?
attack is the same. Like we've got Rice and Partey, Erdegaard in the 10, Havertz in the 9, Saka and Martinelli wide. There's this when we were doing well, when we were sourced and playing fluid football, the attacking 5 were the same attack. Well,
Facts.
1, 2, 3, 4, and then if you add Erdegaard at the midfield, that's the same
No,
attacking
but
5.
you haven't signed a marquee striker, like a
But
marquee striker.
even I'm saying away from a marquee striker, we haven't signed a striker. I think it would
Facts.
have benefited us to even sign someone like let's say we signed. I'm just trying to think. Let's say we signed Mbomo, and Mbomo wasn't a marquee striker. Let's say we got him for 35, 40 million. So not marquee money for a club like Arsenal, but he was on the bench and he came off the bench and he challenged for wing positions. He came off maybe he started the odd game. Just a fresh energy, a
No,
fresh.
it's a good point because you think about it like
Of course, as a logical fan, you're looking at it going, right, we only need 3 points to win the league. Let's get an Isak. Let's get Gyökeres. Let's get Osterman. You go for these big names. But I think that even away from those big names, like any type of attacking talent
yeah,
would have massively helped us.
that's a fact because you think about it like when Liverpool were going for their title charge, they had a couple seasons where they didn't make it and they fell short. And you still look at the fact that they still signed players. When they had Salah and Mane, they were still signing players like Jota. They still I
Didn't
think Diaz
City sign
came
Haaland? City signed Haaland and they signed Julian Alvarez. Do you know what I mean?
literally. I mean
They've got
and
Doku, they've got Grealish, they've got Foden, and they signed Savinho. Like you're
facts.
always adding fresh players, always constantly adding fresh players.
Facts, and it's. I think this was the first season in about 4 consecutive seasons where Arsenal haven't signed an attacker. I think one season you signed Havertz. The season before that, you may have signed Trossard. Do you know what I'm saying? Like he's always. Whereas this season, this is probably one of the reasons, and it strengthens your argument why attacking you look quite stale and the same. Is because it's the first season in about 3 seasons you actually haven't signed an attacker. So that
The
does
only
probably
person we
support
signed
your
this
point.
season, from an attacking perspective, is Sterling, which was clearly a panic signing, and he's on loan. So how much can this person like?
You
Sterling,
can't even say that because Sterling ain't even playing as much games as you would have expected.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. I mean, he just don't trust the bench, but I don't know how much. I think if he doesn't even challenge for a title, his job's going to be at risk. And I wonder how much he's going to lean on Edu. If the board is going to look at it like it's partly Edu's fault, if we're looking at the players that signed, Marino coming in, who's been okay, but not really set the world on fire. And then you've got obviously Wanyeri, who's only just coming out of the academy, and then you've got Sterling. Are they going to look and say, okay, let's see what Arteta can do with a new director of football who's going to be more ambitious, who's going to go for these types of players? Or are they just going to draw a line under it and say, we're getting a new director of football, let's get a new manager, and let's just refresh the whole team?
I don't think, and I'll be genuinely honest, I don't think Arsenal have shown ruthlessness. You know what I'm saying? So I think even if you do have a season where you don't win the league and you don't challenge for the league and you don't win a trophy, I still think Arteta will have a job next season. I don't even think his job will be in question because for them, it is like he's done more than what we expected of him. So it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I don't even if they do put the blame on him, they're still going to have, I think he's got a lot of, because it's Arsenal. If it was Chelsea, if it was United, those teams have shown in the past to be much more ruthless,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's where I think the fans, when you're seeing Arteta out and these types of things, I think some people still think Arteta is a good manager, a good coach. I think the fear for some Arsenal fans, and I'm not Arteta out just yet, but I think the fear for some Arsenal fans is when you look at our club and the way that our club has a history of lacking ambition, that's the problem. The problem is the fear of not just where we are currently, but the fear that we could drop all the way down to 4th, 5th, maybe even 6th, and the club will not be ruthless enough to actually part with the manager, go and get someone who's young and exciting and go and do that again, unless they're really forced into it. Remember, they only got Arteta because they were forced into it. Arteta interviewed for the job the first time, Emery interviewed for the job, and they gave Emery the job, and then it didn't really work out, and then they went back to Arteta again. Do you know what I'm saying? And then Arteta won the FA Cup, and he looked like this sexy new manager that was coming along. So the club was really forced into making that decision, and it's not like if they made that decision the first time, then you would say, okay, cool, this club is ruthless, they've got a plan, etc., etc. At the moment, you're looking at it, and possibly Arteta might have a little bit too much power at the club at the moment.
I agree with everything other than the fact that Arteta has power. I think Arteta, as it stands, has built a lot of collateral veins. You know what I'm saying? Like he's done things for Arsenal that I think he can be afforded a season where you don't challenge, as long as you get top 4. Because here's the thing. No disrespect, and I'm not even saying this from a banter perspective, but you not finishing 4th and you not finishing 2nd the season before me. It's the same thing.
The difference is emotional from the fans. The difference is emotional. The difference is to feel like we're closer, to feel that difference. But if you look at the way that the top 4 is close, and you look at the way that like 3rd down to 8th is close, like you say, it's not a big difference. If we're talking about 8 goals and 3 points difference or 2 points, it's not a massive difference, and you can bridge that gap. But I think that we bridge that gap with signings. If you look at it from Zinchenko, from Jesus, from any of these people, like we've got players, and I think where Arteta's done well is we've got players often that have been either rejects from other clubs or like not really. We haven't really got any players that we fought competition for. I think maybe Declan Rice, even then. Only then, and even then, City had Rodri. They didn't have to get Rice. That wasn't essential. They would have liked to have Declan Rice, but it wasn't essential to get Rice.
What's gonna be your hardest thing is the fact that if Liverpool win the league, it's peak, because then it's like City didn't even win the league. City didn't even beat you. It's Liverpool.
You haven't got the excuse that it's just City and they're unbelievable and all this kind of stuff. You don't have that excuse anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? So you're right. On Chelsea, another Cole Palmer mid-performance. Man didn't do nothing. I don't know if you saw the game, do you know what I'm saying? But man is saying he's dropping stinkers against the big 6. Do you know what I'm saying? Again, we run
I
this
heard
narrative.
that, but then I heard that man them were grilling you in the last video. Man them
I
was
don't
saying that
care.
that's not the case. Man them
I
was
don't
saying
care.
he scored 10 goals. He had 10 goal contributions against the Big Six last season.
And a lot of them are penalties. We're talking about non-penalty open play goal contributions. Because man want to take away Saka's assist. Man is saying that Saka's only gets assists from corners, and only 2 of his assists are from corners. 2 out of 8.
No, I don't think Saka. I don't think Saka's actually had any criticism. I don't think Saka's had any.
I've seen a lot of Saka criticism.
I don't know. You're on Twitter more than me, innit? So I don't know. But I, genuinely speaking, I didn't watch you lot's game yesterday. I would have predicted a draw. I didn't think you lot were going to lose. I saw, even though you lot aren't playing well, Chelsea came to United a couple of weeks ago and we should have actually beat them. Like, and we're not even good. You know what I'm saying? So if I was even not being an Arsenal fan, I could not see how you lot were gonna lose. Like, I think they were even lucky to get 1 goal.
I
Because
think we look like the better footballing team, but they look like they have the better mentality right now. They've got a bit of siege mentality, which seems to have got. Do you know what it looks like as well? Liverpool fans talk about this a lot when they got 100 points and didn't win the league, or what was it 100 points and didn't win the league? Something like
100 points.
Yeah, and they didn't win the league, and they said that it had like an emotional toll on their team. That's what our team looks like, and bringing in Marino and Sterling and Calafiori. It hasn't, obviously Calafiori's been injured, but he looks a good player. Sterling's on loan. So Sterling's not even really bought into the project like that. For me, the problem is we don't have somebody new to bring in that that siege mentality again. The players are tired.
I genuinely don't agree. I don't think that's the reason at all. I genuinely feel like, and I'm not taking anything away from Arsenal. Anything away from Arsenal. I'm being genuinely honest. I think Arsenal have played some beautiful football the last couple of seasons, specifically last season. The reason why I say specifically last season is because last season, for pretty much maybe 90%, 80% of the season, it was a 3-horse race. Liverpool were in it, and Liverpool at their best. City were at their best, and Arsenal were at their best. The season before, not so much. I think it was a weaker Liverpool side, and I think City prioritized the champs. And they obviously did win the league, but for 90% of the season, you were top. You could clearly see that when it came to crunch time, they flicked that switch. And I genuinely don't think that season you were the best team in the league when it came to the crunch time. Last season, I actually feel like over the course of the season, I know it might sound crazy, but you actually probably played better football.
There's a good argument, yeah. There's a good argument, yeah.
Because
City
you conceded the least amount of goals. I think you scored the most amount of goals. You went on a long unbeaten run at.
We were slapping teams 4, 5, 6-0. This current team, you can't really see that. And the City got out of jail with late goals a couple of times last season.
Yeah, and I think obviously other than that Villa game, you would have won the league. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it is what it is. You played City last season, the whole season, and never lost. You know what I'm saying? But home and away, you didn't lose. Same thing with Liverpool, home and away, you didn't lose. This season, when I watch you lot play football, I just feel like there is almost, and I watch Arsenal, and there's almost a level of entitlement with Arsenal. In a sense that I feel like you guys feel like you are entitled to win the game because it's Arsenal. Like you don't. Whereas last season I felt
I didn't see that.
I think so. I
just see a lack of ideas. I see the football's gone stale. Maybe this is what you're referring to in terms of entitlement, but I see like the centre backs will pick up the ball and look to play a pass they would have played last season. That person's marked, and they don't have a plan B. There's a plan A. In fact, that sums up everything. That sums up the transfer window. That sums up the football that we're playing. That sums up the substitutions, everything. There's a plan A, and plan A is excellent. And then if plan A doesn't work, there is no plan B. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm seeing teams like Chelsea who've got this like young, attacking, exciting team, which is what Arsenal had, right? Arteta built himself on this thing of like, we had the youngest team in the league when we started challenging all this kind of stuff. Now some of those younger players are gone, and we've actually brought in more experienced older players. Not more experienced older players, but like, Smith Rowe's gone, Reece Nelson's gone, these academy products are going out. And now it's like, we don't have that many ideas. We don't have the same mentality. We don't look as aggressive. Chelsea were pressing the fuck out of us yesterday. Like they would press our goalkeeper. We wouldn't press their goalkeeper.
You know what it is? Like a lot of your players, at the beginning, your players had a bit between their teeth. And it's like, no, we got to show you something. They've shown, you know what I'm saying? They've actually shown that they can compete. I feel like it's just that extra yard that you lot are missing. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like because a lot of your players no longer have a point to prove anymore, that's also affected the mindset of the team.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean by that siege mentality is gone, and maybe that's what you mean by the entitlement thing of like we've come second back to back, so I've proved enough. You can see in a player like Saka.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
You can see in a player like Saka, he doesn't feel like he's proved enough. He doesn't feel like when he comes second, he looks genuinely disappointed. Whereas for other players in that team, if they come second behind City, they look like, yeah, second, like not bad.
Let's be honest. Rice has been a person who's never challenged for a league. He's never challenged for a league.
European champion, though.
But you know what I mean? Like, he's been at West Ham his whole career. Arsenal's a much bigger club than West Ham. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And challenging for the league and having the season that he had last season, it's nowhere near the season he's had this season.
This is why it's so important to bring in new players that are the right profile of player that have the bit between their teeth. Do you know what I'm saying? Chelsea's doing well, though. Do you know what I mean? A little bit on Chelsea. Like, Cole Palmer was quiet. But again, they've got Mudryk to come off the bench. I know we had Trossard to come off the bench. Oh, bruv, did you see Trossard at the end?
No.
Brother, Saliba just takes responsibility. I was crying out for someone to take initiative, and Saliba took the initiative towards the end of the game, dropped the shoulder, defender went, he just ran through the midfield. He started to attack a lot more, Saliba. It's really good. He was up the left wing for some reason, hit the ball across the post, right across the 6-yard box, beats the goalkeeper, and Kai Havertz is waiting there for a tap-in. Trossard leans for it and hits it wide. Oh, and everyone was brother, like the very last.
I heard Mandem are giving up on Trossard still.
Yeah, Trossard. I want him gone.
Mad.
I want him gone. He is one of the biggest reasons that we are down to. It's Ødegaard's injury. It's down to Arteta because Ødegaard gets injured and Trossard is the only player that he can put in. He could put one year in.
Trossard isn't a creative player. That's the thing.
I understand that, but like I said before, he's cost us 2 red cards and he's cost us 2 games that are not to do with the red cards as well. He's cost us like 10 points.
What? 10 points.
2 games we've dropped 3 points because of his red cards, and 2 games we've dropped down to draws because of him as well. So that's 10 points that he's cost us. That's the 10-point gap. And I'm putting that not entirely down to Trossard, but I'm putting that
a large responsibility.
He has a large responsibility for that because the Saliba red card I put entirely on Trossard. Do you know what I'm saying? Trossard kicks the ball backwards and it's too far for Saliba to get to, but not far enough for David Raya. So it's in that no man's land where no one's expecting it to be, and the guy's onside. So I'm putting a lot of stuff down to Trossard. It's not all down to him. He's much better off the bench. He's much better out wide. He's not a number 10. He's not a starter. That is all on Arteta. But listen, it's football, innit? So I'm vexed still. It's keeping me up at night. I'm not going to lie because, like you say, Man City look like they're flopping, and we'll talk.
Man City looking like they're flopping. They're not looking like they're flopping. They're flopping. And I told you, the Rodri effect goes on for another week. The Rodri effect goes on for another week, bro. Like, literally. People need to understand how impactful this guy is, bro. And this team, like, Brighton done what City's been doing all season, bro. Teams have been scoring early against City, and City's just been finding a way over the line. I'll be honest, over the course of the game, Brighton deserved to win, bruv. Brighton actually deserved to win. I can't even...
Brighton look good.
Brighton are Brighton. You know what I'm saying? They played you lot this season. They played a good game. They beat us this season. They're a good team. You know what I'm saying? And no one goes to Brighton and think, yeah, easy food. That's not what happens when you verse Brighton. You know what I'm saying? And I know 2 weeks in a row in the thumbnail, I put Kovacic for City because, bro, he's supposed to be doing the Rodri role, bro, and it's no disrespect to this guy, but he's just not levels, bro. And without Rodri, bro, that team's just looking so meaty, bro. Some people say, obviously, they got other injuries in other areas, but, bro, it's the Rodri effect, fam.
It's unacceptable. In one way, I understand. Rodri's the Ballon d'Or winner. He is the best, according to, just not my opinion, but like he's won the Ballon d'Or. The Ballon d'Or is the award for the best player in the world, right? So he's meant to be the best player in the world, the most important midfielder in the world. I get all of that. But to be Champions League winners, treble winners, 4-time Premier League winners, and have the best some people, maybe not you because you're a Man United fan, some people put Kevin De Bruyne in that conversation with the Lampards and the Gerrards and the Scholes and all that kind of stuff. You've got a team of almost entirely of like superstars. You've got the best striker in the world, the best creative midfielder in the world. You've got Foden, who's one of the best young players in the world. You've got Doku, Grealish, and Savinho, who are three very talented wingers. You've got all of these pieces. 4 losses on the trot
You
with
just
this
mentioned.
team. With this team, who like us, we've challenged for a title back-to-back seasons, but people have still said you're not great in Europe, you're not great in cups. You know, maybe you're overperforming with the team that you've got. Like that's what people have said to us at the time. Yeah, and now looking back, people can say different things. But with all of those pieces, how can you justify this level of performance with what, not you, but in general, with one player out? That's ridiculous.
You can't. And obviously, there's when I'm talking about Rodri, obviously part of it's jest, but there's obviously some honesty to it. But in if I was to be honest, there's a lot of things that's contributing to it. There's not just the fact that Rodri's injured. It's not just with Rodri. You know, there's other problems that they have at City. I think one of them is complacency. You know, one of them is just the fact that they've won all of that. They've won everything, as you said. They won the league, the Champions League final 2 seasons in a row. You know, they done the 4P, all of that, all the good things. You have Haaland breaking all kinds of records. You got De Bruyne, all of that. All of that's a pro. But at the end of the day, they've made it to the summit. They've made it to the top. You know what I'm saying? And at some stage, you're gonna fall. What that fall is because of, there's gonna be multiple reasons, but they're gonna fall at some stage. You can't stay at the top like that in such a competitive league and get away with it for so long. And I actually genuinely feel like, I don't want to say City don't care, but when I fist you up so many times, I ain't got nothing to. I ain't really got to show you nothing no more. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah. They can be shit this season. They could finish 7th this season and not have a dent in their arrogance, right? Because they're a record-breaking team. So who could really chat to them? That is true. That is true. But it seems to me, you know, I said this at the time when they played Arsenal. We drew. We drew with City, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we drew with City. We probably should have won that game. I think we were the better team that game. And Haaland getting up in, it wasn't a particularly like aggressive game. It wasn't a very spicy game. It wasn't like, you know, it was just a tactical game, maybe a bit boring actually. And Haaland went up to Arteta and he's like, be humble, and got in his face and stuff. And everyone was a bit confused. Like, what's going on? There was a clash on the sidelines with the management team. And I said, this City team looks rattled. For no reason. If you go into a game, I play football. You go into a game and there's lots of fouls, lots of pushing and shoving, grabbing each other, whatever, and then there's an argument. Then I get that, but there was no real heat in the game. It seemed like we came to play football, and City, who are a better team than us on paper, seemed to come with the mentality of let's kick and rile up Arsenal.
You know what?
And that's where I first said there seems to be a little bit of a mental break here.
It's weird because the last 2 seasons you have been going back and forth. You know what I'm saying? And City's seen you as their main rivals. They've seen you as you've almost got their respect. You know what I'm saying? But in the fact, whilst you lot are trying to battle your thing and you lot are trying to come to grips with things, you lot are just allowing Liverpool to just sneak around the side and get in front. Because I'll keep it so real. When I saw that, I thought it's a bit strange because you lot didn't even win. You're telling the man to be humble and you didn't even win. You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't even win. So what you're telling me
that you're carrying last year's energy over to this year. Because that was last year. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
it doesn't make sense. And the last couple seasons they've won from being behind, you know, catching you guys up and being behind and then winning. But I think this season ain't gonna work, bro. Like, they've always had a bad first half of the season, and the second half of the season they flick the switch and it's gone. I don't think they have the ability to flick the switch this season. And you know the wickedest thing, City are going on the pitch knowing that I almost feel like they know that they're not as good as they were last season. They almost know that. Like, their players know. I saw yesterday that was it what day did they lose? 2 days ago.
Yeah.
I think Savinho was running down the wing, and I'm like, bruh, just box it. And I'm like, this is just not a City side. I'm like, just cross the ball back, and I think it was Haaland in the box, and we just done it himself. And I'm like, I don't know if these men are losing confidence in each other. I don't know what it is, bro. I genuinely don't know. I would love to see, or get Pep's opinion on it, but bruh, there is definitely something missing. And I guess I do blame some of it, a large sum of it on Rodri, but it's not just Rodri. As you said, you can't be a four-peat champion, two-time Champions League finalist, and win the Champions League, treble winner, all of that, and one player make the difference. Like that does the maths don't math there. There's
especially a
obviously
player
something else.
especially a player that's not an attacking player. You've still got Doku on the left.
But they're not struggling attacking. They're not even struggling attacking. This City and especially in the last week or so, they've been struggling in terms of just keeping everything together. Like I watched the
Yeah,
Spurs game and it was like they didn't even care if they lost. Like I
yeah,
watched that game and they didn't even care if they lost. And I watched the game against Brighton where they spent majority of the game winning. They just went through the motions. They didn't even try and score 2, 3, 4. You know what I'm saying? And that, yeah, you could say that's about having a striker, but each season, like they've always had a great balance. This
yeah.
season, it's almost like is where it is kind of thing, and their attitude stinks as well, bro.
Is
Their
there a
attitude stinks.
that's what is there a waveform? I'm looking at the results now. They scraped past Wolves 2-1 away. They beat Fulham 3-2 at home. Not opening day, but they beat 3-2 home. But like their last few away games is where they've been losing. So they lost 2-1 to Tottenham. That was in the AFL Cup. That was away. They lost 2-1 to Bournemouth in the league. That was away. They lost 4-1 to Sporting. That was away. They lost 2-1 to Brighton. That was away as well. It's their away form. They're at home to Tottenham this Saturday, and then they've got, well, not this Saturday, after the international break, and then they've got Feyenoord, and then on the 1st of December. They've got their December run is in the league. They've got Liverpool, Nottingham Forest, Crystal Palace, then United, then Villa. That's a difficult run. Crystal Palace, you'd expect them to smoke them, but that is a difficult run of games. Liverpool's going to be away. Crystal Palace is the easiest game, but that's going to be away. Manchester Derby, anything can happen.
It's a derby.
And then Aston Villa is going to be away as well. It's going to be really, really difficult. I know that they're good in the second half of the season after Christmas or after January, but it is they'll have the biggest deficit they've ever had. They will have the biggest deficit they've ever had before.
They're gonna have the biggest deficit to climb, and they're looking the worst they've ever looked. Like even in previous seasons, they've not looked as bad as this, and they've been behind in previous seasons, but they look bad, bro. Like I don't know what game it was that they won and they scored the late winner, and I was like, bro, they were lucky to not be down 3-4 that game, bro. Like I remember Pep was saying even though we won, it was abysmal performance. So yeah.
Do you think this performance and the result of this season could have any possible impact on Pep's decision to stay? Is he more likely to? Okay, maybe not if they don't win, but they come second or it's 3-horse race, really competitive. He might stay. If they come fourth, God forbid they come fifth, and they're not even in the Champions League. Does that affect his ability to stay, or not his ability, but his decision making to stay?
Yeah. If they flop and sink like a stone in the sea, he's staying. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He's gonna stay. If they somehow claw back and win,
you think if they flop, he's more likely to stay?
Yeah, if he somehow claws back and finds a way to win, bro, he's gonna leave because he can see what we all can see, and at some stage, City ain't gonna be able to do that no more, bro. And I'd rather retire at the top instead of not retire but leave at the top instead of continue trying, and then when they actually do slip, I can't claw it back anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's like a Wenger thing where Wenger almost stayed so long that even when he was trying to claw it back, it was too late, and he ended up getting toxic near the end despite all the good things he's done. It's like a boxer, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like some boxers don't know when to quit and they just keep going. Yeah, I'm saying. Whereas you got some guys who, like Lennox Lewis, I think, Pep will do a Lennox Lewis. When you won against like that Klitschko win, and you're like, bro, I could have lost this fight,
One win, one big. He wants everyone doubt him. Everyone doubt me, and then bang, one big win.
And I can see the future crop of people coming through. Yeah, let me call it a day before it gets too peak. Yeah,
we should say for everything that we're saying in the league, in the actual league itself, they're only 5 points behind, and they're still second. So they're still 4 points ahead of Barca and Chelsea. So they're not doing terribly, but I think, everyone's
It's
so
standard, isn't it? They've set a standard.
everyone's so desperate to see, and everyone's so desperate to see them fail, not just because of the football rivalries, but also because of the charges and all the rest of it. Everyone's preying on the downfall. So, but again, you just can't count them out, because it's right when you think actually these men are dusted that they'll do a madness and turn it around.
Can we speak about when you go in a dictionary, go in a dictionary, or go Oxford, Collins, Cambridge, any dictionary, Google dictionary, type in Spursy, and what you will see is Tottenham versus Ipswich. The definition of Spursy was what you saw yesterday. The definition, the Google definition, the Collins definition, every definition in it, to beat Man City, and then the following week lose to Ipswich. That's just what Spurs do. You know what I'm saying? Like, Spurs will get their fans so gassed, bro. So gassed.
They always beat City. They always beat City.
No, but it wasn't just City. They beat us, and in the following week lost to Crystal Palace. You know what I'm saying? They do this, bro. That's
Brighton. They lost to Brighton. They lost to Brighton.
What do you mean?
Oh, they beat you 3-0 and then lost to Brighton straight after.
Oh, was it Brighton straight after?
Brighton 3-2, yeah.
Yeah. Whoever it was, that's my point.
Then they beat, bro. I'm looking at the results. They beat Matt. This is in the league, yeah. This is mad. They lose to They beat. We go all the way back to the beginning of the season. Tottenham beat Everton 4-0. Lose to Newcastle 1-0. Lose to Arsenal 1-0. They beat Brentford, good team, 3-1. They beat Qarabag 3-0. They beat Man United 3-0. They lose to Brighton. They come back. They beat West Ham 4-1. They lose to Crystal Palace. They beat Everton. They beat Aston Villa, 4-1.
Beat Aston Villa 4-1.
Aston Villa 4-1 in the league. Beat City in the cup. Lose to Ipswich Town 2-1. Bro, these man, this highlighter, bro, these men are not serious. These men are actually not serious.
You know what it's like, what I have to compare this to, is like, this is like a guy who genuinely cannot, you can only get up for like banging gal. They can't get up for dead teams, bro. Like, they cannot perform at that level when it comes to a small team. Like, I genuinely don't understand. But when I actually think about it, and I look at the way Spurs have been playing this season, it is genuinely just inconsistent. And the reason why they've been playing inconsistent is because when they play against City, or whether it's a Villa, or whether it's a United, teams aren't. Definitely City. City ain't changing the way they play for no Spurs, bro. They ain't changing the way they're playing for Spurs. Neither is Villa. Emery's gonna do what Emery's gonna do. Pep's gonna do what Pep's gonna do. These small teams, they know innit. They know the way they play. And the biggest issue is when they play against those small teams, which are a bit more robust and are willing to actually challenge and be physical. They ain't got the players for it, bro. I don't understand.
Them smaller teams that come up from the Championship, they play very simple football, a lot of them, yeah? They've got fast wingers, big, strong target man, and they're going to play counter-attack, ball into the box with the big man.
Right.
Done. That is 90% of what we're going to see from teams that have just come up. We get the odd Burnley that's going to try and play a bit of football and stuff like that. But for the most part, that's what they're going to do. And against the high line of Tottenham, the big teams, our focus is all of the big teams have quality strikers, quality midfielders, quality players all over the pitch. The problem that we have is we go and play the smaller teams. They sit in a low block. And how do we break down the low block? That's the issue, right? The big six clashes are all a little bit different and more tactical. But generally speaking, those are the issues that we're going to face. You come against Tottenham and you've got this high line. It's more suited towards the smaller teams for the style that they're going to play. You know what I mean? Because we're just going to clear it. We're just going to leave we're going to sit in a low block of like 9 men behind the ball. We're going to have our big target man sitting basically in the center circle. And then we're going to have one winger that's kind of midway between. And we know if we can get a clean kick on the ball, we're going to hit the winger. He's going to try and fly as quickly as possible. It's like pro clubs. Down the wing, cross the ball, in. And that's it.
Get a corner, and then they're definitely going to concede that.
Then they're definitely going to concede set pieces. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's what it is against Spurs.
They got 2 fullbacks that can't defend. And it goes back to what you're saying. Like, these newly promoted teams or teams you can't win. Like Crystal Palace, first win of the season was Spurs. Ipswich, only win of the season was Spurs. And it goes right back to what you're saying, bro. These are teams who are going to play that old-fashioned football. They're going to get down the line and they're going to cross balls in the box. You have a goalkeeper who doesn't like to collect crosses, and you have two fullbacks who don't like to defend. Those are just the facts. You got Porro. This guy doesn't know what reverse means. And you got Udoji, who, bruv, this guy is literally a left winger playing left back.
I was going to say, he looks like a failed winger. Yeah, 100%.
So
you don't... as well, these men have all the arrogance that we have with way less of the trophies. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, they really like a lot of men don't even understand why they're considered a big six club in the first place. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you might look at Arsenal and think we're really cocky, we're really arrogant. Arteta's won an FA Cup in his time, albeit that was back in 2020, 2021. He's competed for the title twice against one of the greatest teams, probably the greatest Premier League team you've ever seen in Pep's Man City. So there's a bit of a swagger, a bit of an arrogance. And some people think that is unjustified given the little that we've achieved. So. Then you look at Tottenham, they've achieved way less, and they have the similar level of arrogance and swagger to think like we're Tottenham and we can do big things, and they've achieved less than we have.
Nothing.
Do you know what I mean? So that's the new line now is everyone's coming out going, what's the difference between Arteta and Pochettino and all this kind of stuff? That's their new talking point to basically roll back the years to when they were decent and look at Arsenal and go, oh, you know, blah blah blah. But I don't remember Tottenham challenging for titles back to back. They got to the Champions League final. They did. They did not compete for titles back to back.
They did.
No,
they
didn't.
The season with Leicester and the season with Conte.
They didn't finish second in the season of Leicester. They finished third. Do you know who finished second?
No, let's keep it real.
Who finished second? Who finished second? The season they challenged for Leicester.
Arsenal finished second.
Thank you.
But let's be real. When Arsenal overtook them, Leicester had already won the league. The Spurs and Leicester were both trying to challenge for the league that season. Because what game? Wait. Did they do? If in actual fact, to dub your point straight away, Leicester didn't actually win the league. Chelsea drew with Spurs that made Leicester win the league. So Leicester needed Spurs to drop points. So you can't say that they didn't.
What game week was that?
I don't know. Game week 30 something.
So how do we finish second then? If we weren't there, if it's that late in the season, how do we finish second then?
Because they lost their last 3 games, bro. They lost the last 3 games.
So we must have been there or thereabouts then.
No, but you wasn't challenging for the league, bro. City, Spurs, bro. That at no stage you're saying, bro. I mean, Arsenal was in and around there, but Spurs genuinely were the person who was challenging Leicester. I don't even think anyone challenged Leicester that season, to be honest. But if there was anyone who was challenging them, it was what's it called? And regardless, like I don't even think the comparison between Poch and Arteta is fair. I genuinely believe that you're gonna 1,000,000% disagree, but I genuinely believe that Poch done a better job than Poch done a better job than Arteta. I genuinely believe that. I genuinely believe Poch done a better job than Arteta. That's just my opinion. I feel like when you look at what he done in the Champions League, for not even just, I know he's a failure, yeah, but I think he got them to like 4 finals. That's failure, but he got them to 4 finals, bro. Like he got them to the FA Cup final, Carabao final, Champions League final. Maybe it was 3 finals. You know what I'm saying? Like you as a team though, you've challenged City twice, but you ain't really done nothing in the cups. Obviously, Arteta won a trophy, but I'm not gonna lie, bro. I think Poch done better. I think Poch done better. I think partially.
I think it's competitive. Poch had the greatest England goal scorer ever in Harry Kane.
Yeah, but but Arteta. Man, this is what I find funny about Arsenal fans. Arsenal fans are forgetting that that Arteta also finished 8th 2 seasons in a row, bro. You can't take the pros without the cons, bro. Partially, some of the issues that you lot had was Arteta's fault in the first place, bro. He had you man in a relegation battle at one stage, bro. I remember when
we were in a relegation.
Like, we're 15th.
that was like 6 games into the season.
I know. But
Also, Pochettino only got to 1 final.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't, bro. He got to the
2 finals. 2 finals. 2
He
finals.
got to the Carabao Cup final against
League
Chelsea.
Cup final, and he got to the FA Cup semi-final. So only two. It's only 2
Champions League final.
Yeah, that's the 2 finals: the League Cup final and the Champions League final. Then he got to an FA Cup semi-final. So he only got to 2 cup finals.
Maybe, yeah, fair enough. But I don't actually think Poch.
I think that's fine. Honestly, I think that's fine. If you think that I think it's close. As I'm weighing it up in my head, I think it's close. If you side with Poch for that, that's fine. Also, this is Arteta's first manager's job, so we'd expect that a seasoned manager like Poch is still young, but he had some more managerial experience.
You're right.
We'd expect him to be better than, when people are like, oh, Emery's a better coach than Arteta. Yeah, I'd expect him to be a better coach than Arteta. It's who fits the right club and the right project at the right time, right? It's not just, there could be a player that's not better than, I don't want to say Kevin De Bruyne. There could be a player that's not better than Saka, but is better than Saka for your club.
A prime example is Pep at Bayern. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Pep is one of the greatest managers of all time, but when he went to Bayern, there wasn't enough challenge. So you could see that his ability in the Champions League wasn't as good as it was when he was at Barcelona and City, and you're 100% correct with your point. I think the season Pep left Bayern Munich won the Champions League, I think.
Yeah, I think that season or the season after, yeah. So there you go. But yeah, Spurs, that's why I said at the beginning of the season, man's not scared of Spurs because they'll shoot themselves in the foot. The Spurs don't even shoot themselves in the foot, they shoot themselves in the face. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm never intimidated of them. I'm never worried from in that regard. For me personally, the system of football that they play, the individual players that they have, they're always an injury or 2 away from dropping off as well. We saw the lack of creativity.
Yeah,
James Maddison was gone. They really, really struggled. Then he came back. They still continued to struggle.
I think Spurs will, for the rest of the season, will be what Spurs are, and they're going to be a team that's going to give you some real high heights, they're going to give you the hope. I think you remember when you mentioned why Spurs are a top 6 seed team. The only difference between Spurs and Newcastle and Spurs and Villa and Spurs and Brighton is that Spurs actually give you the hope, and then they just lose. Do you know what I'm saying? They actually give you the hope.
The difference is Spurs were in a Big 6 team because they are in London and they're near us and they're known as Arsenal's rivals.
I don't think so.
I'm talking about in the modern day. That Spurs were a Big 6 club from 100 years ago, but in the last decade, in the last 2 decades, they would in the time that Man City has got their investment, in that era, Spurs would not be a Big 6 club. They wouldn't be. What Newcastle has over them is Newcastle is a single city, a single club city. There's only one club in the whole city of Newcastle, and that's Newcastle. There's only one football club in the whole city. What?
What about Everton? Everton are with Liverpool. They're big rivals with Liverpool.
I don't know what point you're making. Just let me finish my point. I'm saying Spurs are a London club. London obviously has a lot of people, a lot of tourists, a lot of that adds more to their club. Whereas Newcastle, a big club, they've got. Nottingham Forest have Notts County and other teams like that, but it's much, much smaller than Nottingham Forest.
West Ham? West Ham is a London club,
but they're not considered a Big 6 club. They're not considered a big club.
Yeah, so why is Spurs being considered a big club but not West Ham?
Because they're rival with Arsenal. Because they're rival with Arsenal.
Yeah, but
that's it.
Chelsea and Fulham are right next to each other. You could arguably say Chelsea and Fulham should have a rival. They don't, but they you know what I'm saying? By judging by
there's a massive gap between Chelsea and Fulham, like a massive gap. Fulham has spent a lot of time in the Championship.
So there is an element of quality to it. There has to be an element. Spurs do have a higher level of quality other than the other London teams.
If you can pick an individual era where Spurs would qualify to be a Big 6 club. When I was younger, back in the day, when Gabby Abomlahor and Ashley Young were ripping it up, and they had the media package on Sky saying the clash of the Big 4, Tottenham were not in that. It was Arsenal, Manchester United, Aston Villa. So that team of the Big 6 clubs, those teams are changeable. Tottenham's in a very changeable position. In a couple of years, when Newcastle got their investment, Tottenham was the team that was the most terrified. Chelsea as well, because they were struggling at that time, and Chelsea were losing investment from Roman. But Tottenham are the most interchangeable club.
Yeah, no, out of the top 6, yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact.
So
that's
what I'm saying.
just
And
have that.
a huge amount of their jeopardy is being the closest rivals to Arsenal. That is a big part of their story. If you go and watch a Tottenham document, we could do a whole documentary on Arsenal and not mention Tottenham. Tottenham cannot do a documentary and not mention Arsenal. That would be a big segment of their documentary. We don't like Arsenal. That's their character trait.
Facts.
I mean, they're lucky. They don't like the fact that we move near them, but they're lucky we moved near them. That made them more relevant. If we didn't move near them and have that big rival, it's true. If we didn't move to North London, they would be West Ham. Their nearest rival would be West Ham.
That's funny.
Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
You're probably right. Especially
If
within the last like 20 years.
If we stayed in South East London, West Ham and Tottenham would be there.
Yeah, probably. Put in the last 20 years, 100%.
So that's what it is. Come on, man. What are you talking about? That's a fact. You know what I mean? But Spurs, if we're being real, Spurs going into this season, we're like, yeah, you know, big Ange ball. We want to qualify for the Champions League, blah, blah, blah. They ain't qualifying for the Champions League this year. They're not.
But I don't even know why they want to, because, bro, they're not even going to, bro.
They're not qualifying for Europa this year.
Potentially not.
They're 10th. It's not a lot of points difference. I get it. It's not a lot of points difference because there's only 3 points from Chelsea, who are 3rd, all the way down to 11th, Brentford. There's only 3 points difference. So things can change. But just with the way that they play and how inconsistent they are, like Man United are below them by 1 point. Man United are all the way down in 13th. But if I'm looking at the trajectory of Man United, I might feel, and they're inconsistent as well, but I might feel more confident that Manchester United are going to finish above Tottenham.
Yeah, because United we got a new manager, the new manager bounce and all of that. Plus, Spurs will continue being Spursy for the rest of the season.
100%.
Like
100%.
what you've seen from Spurs, it's not even out of the ordinary, bro. That's what's so like.
The last 5 games are literally loss, win, loss, win, loss. That's their record.
That's Spurs, though, isn't it? Yeah. That's literally Spurs, and they will continue being like that for the rest of the season. Whereas the peak, when we're crossing Arsenal or City or even United, the best version of City specifically, but Arsenal, yeah, could be like a 10-game winning streak. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We ain't seen that from Spurs, bro. You're not seeing that from Spurs, period.
100%. And that's the problem. So if I'm looking at them, bro, like there's teams with you, like you could say you're on bad form. We can talk about your team. Aston Villa overall, are they a better team than Spurs? I think it's competitive. Newcastle, I think is competitive. Fulham, I don't think they're a better team. I think they're on a good run of form. Brighton and Nottingham Forest, I think they're possibly Brighton, Nottingham Forest, maybe Villa as well. They're like better teams than Tottenham. They are better teams than Tottenham.
They're playing better football. That's a fact.
Man to man, I think they're not. They're close to being better teams than Tottenham, in my opinion.
Not Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest is just overperforming, but not Nottingham Forest.
I take Chris Wood over Solanke.
You wouldn't have said that if you wouldn't have said that last season, bro.
I'm taking Alanga over who they got on the wing, blood.
Brennan Johnson.
Yeah, that's a competitive battle.
That's a competitive.
That's a competitive battle, bro.
That's a competitive battle. But when you start looking at, they got world class play. Well, Son, you know what I'm saying, on his day, Madison. You know what I'm saying? They got top players. They got Van der Ven.
Alanga and Callum Hudson-Odoi. And they've got Werner and Johnson.
I'm not gonna lie. Those things are both looking.
What are we talking about? What are we talking about? I don't know.
That's
you know what
close,
I'm saying?
Bro. That's close.
It's competitive. It's a competitive situation. So
100.
Do you know what I'm saying? That's what it is. But yeah, bro. That's it, bro. Anything else?
No, that's everything still. United's got another win, 3-0, man. Like Amad Diallo.
Well, let's talk about United. Let's talk about United. Should Amorim keep Van Nistelrooy, given that he's got a couple of good results? Amorim has a team that he wants to bring with him. He's got people that he works with, people that can help impart his philosophy. But it's always the awkward thing when you have an interim manager. Now, Ruud Van Nistelrooy is doing quite well, or seems to be doing quite well, but it could just be
he's got to live and die by his philosophies. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What I don't want to see, because this happened with Ollie, what I don't want to see is Ollie kept McKenna, Carrick, all of these, man. You know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden, you just had a a bag of people, but you don't even work with each other. You're just doing it because of the heritage. For
Yeah.
me, if I'm if Rude says, "Cool, I want to stay," like it doesn't make a difference. You have no say in this, bro. You're not the manager. Really and truly, in my opinion, you gotta die and live by what, because you're gonna get fired alone in it. So I don't want to say, "Oh, you kept Rude for nothing," bro. Do what you feels right. So if it means bringing in your assistant manager and your coach team, that's what you're gonna have to do. Do you know what I'm saying? Live and die by what you want. For me, if you're asking me personally, I think the transition will be smoother if Rude stays. But here's the thing. I feel like before United take steps forward, we actually have to get rid of things. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying Rude is one of those things, but if Rude's contributing to keeping a lot of the toxic things that we've seen, then he's also got to go as well. Like there is more toxic things within Man United than there is positive. You know what I'm saying? There's like 6 or 7 players that can easily say, "No, you need to go, bro." And before we even sign one person, I want to see at least 4 people leave.
I think that Rude needs to go, because what you don't want is someone there that's developed too much of a relationship with the players. It's going to be biased. We're going to start from scratch. Not we, but you guys are going to start from scratch. And something that you guys have been historically bad at is really allowing the manager to come in and stamp their authority on the team. And I think it's really important that Amrin does that. If he's going to have some of your fans are saying they'll give him 3 or 4 years to be competing at the top level, then allow him that time to do things the way that he's going to do it, chalk the season off and let him start with a clean break. We don't need someone there that's got relationships with some of the players and stuff like that's going to, maybe poison the well a little bit like that. We want
Because
somebody
if it goes
completely
wrong,
objective.
if it goes wrong, we're back at where we were with Ten Hag. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? And people are going to be like, "Well, give Rude the managerial job because he went undefeated." You know what I'm saying?
And the thing is as well, I think, you're looking at Rude and saying, well, you've helped us win 3-0. He was also there when Ten Hag was doing shit. He was still an assistant coach. He's still part of that team. Let's not start to look at things with rose-tinted glasses and go,
Right.
because you guys have been struggling, a 3-0 win is like, oh my God, this is the big one. And we've got a plan. And it's important that as a club, a big club like that, you have a plan and you stick to the plan.
Especially when you've got rid of so many people above. You know what I'm saying? We
Yes.
brought in so many new people above. The only thing we didn't change up to this point was our manager. Let's not now bring in things from and keep things from the old regime. If you're changing everything, change everything. Change
Yeah.
everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no point having a nice fridge, but you got the same kitchen table. You know what I'm saying? Just change everything, bro.
Yeah. No, facts. But yeah, bro, we'll see how it goes. International break now. Man's booking a little holiday, so I think
Where
I'm
you
probably
going?
gonna probably just like Tenerife or something to get some sun. I was gonna go Dubai, but that's looking expensive. Do you know what it is? Yeah, man just wants to lay on the beach and jam and read books and chill. So going Dubai to do that is unnecessarily expensive.
That
So
is still.
probably Tenerife because it's gonna be nice and hot. The only place I can get some sun right now, and I'll be back after the international break. So boy,
Yeah. Love.
peace and love, everybody. I'm out. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. You know what it is, OnlyFacts. We're back. Peace.